Hey guys, it's Rob Carson. You ready for a June 4th edition of the Rob Carson Show? You better be.
It's the Rob Carson Show. Are you ready to be podsmacked? Now, here's Rob Carson.
Welcome to the show. How you doing? Hope you had a great weekend. Pretty hot here in the Midwest. Looks like it's going to be a long, hot summer. And I've got a long, hot show for you. Wow, I almost slipped. Almost did a Freudian one there. Anyway, welcome to the show. Glad to have you joining me. Up here on the, to your right side of your screen, those are some of the designs from my T-shirt and swag line, teepublic.com. Conservatives, you see it there on the screen? If you'd order something, that would be great. We got 75 designs. They're awesome. Okay, so I've got a lot of stuff I want to get to. A little Samantha Bee fallout. Where's she been lately? She just kind of disappeared. May jobs report. Good news for Trump, bad news for Democrats. Oh, there's some funny stuff here, too. Google labeling a Trump supporter as a bigot. If you search for Google, you'll see a picture of her with the word bigot. They called the one of the ideologies of the California Republican Party Nazism. We'll get to that. More also fallout from the Starbucks employee brainwashing day last week. Let's see here. Oh, a new California law limits how much water people can use in their homes, and you won't believe this. It is absolutely amazing. Why would you live in friggin' California? What the hell? I wouldn't live in California. Anyway, I want to welcome you to the show. Get to a bunch of stuff here. A lot of, I guess, debate about the summit between Donald Trump and Kim Jong-un in Singapore. They're getting together. It's back on. I'm sure you heard this. And apparently Un wants to stay at a 5-star hotel where a night at the presidential suite costs about $6,000. He doesn't plan to pay for it. Now, I had heard that American officials planning the summit are trying to work around sanctions that prohibit the U.S. from picking up the bill. But this morning, we heard from Trump officials and the State Department saying, we're not going to pick up the bill. It's not going to happen. Now, you recall when the Obamas traveled, they get the entire floor, hundreds of thousands of dollars a night to stay in Paris or wherever. I mean, they lived quite large. I mean, they had several floors of a hotel. I understand the security thing. Plus also, the president doesn't want that young couple, the honeymoon couple, the headboard banging against the wall as they're trying to sleep. Yeah, that sort of stuff happens. They're not going to pay it. This is just unbelievable. Unbelievable. Kim has invested, obviously, in the nuclear weapons program. The country is starving. Apparently, South Korea covered $2.6 million in travel expenses for him in 2018 in the Pyongyang Olympics. He's one of like that buddy of yours. Well, not buddy, but he's like, when you go on spring break and you got, I never went on spring break, but you go on spring break or on a vacation and you got another friend with you who has no money and is always like, hey, spot me whatever. Can you just give me a little whatever, Oh, man, this is bad. Meanwhile, President Donald Trump, who on Friday called the summit back on for June 12th, is expected to lodge at the luxury Shangri-La Hotel in Singapore. Apparently, about $7,471 for the night of June the 12th. So, and for Donald Trump, that's a crap hole. that's a dive. That's like a Motel 6. It's like a Super 8 for Donald Trump. Oh, funny. Where's Samantha Bee, kids? Where is Samantha Bee? Double standard in so many ways. So many ways. Roseanne Barr tweeted something very offensive about Valerie Jarrett. I get it. Disney and ABC wanted to save their butts, because there's this thing in this country, this industry in this country called big offense. And it has spawned all sorts of cottage industries, sensitivity training. I've got a story later in the show. I'm going to talk to you about microaggression training, and well, of course, what happened at Starbucks last week, where minimum wage employees who not only have to make coffee, have to take out the trash, mop the floors, all that stuff, had to be subjected to this idiotic brainwashing session that included propagandistic films about race relations in the country and the racial history of the country. I just want to make a coffee for somebody and misspell their name on the label. My God. Starbucks, you should be done. You should be done as a business. Honestly, Starbucks. How dare you subject your employees to this propagandistic flagellation and guilt, and now you've essentially invited homeless people in, and you've got to say, hey, no, everything's fine, come on in. Hey, you got a heroin needle in your hand there? Go ahead, sit down right over there in that comfortable chair with the rest of our paying customers. No big deal. You know what? And today, for homeless heroin addicts, scones are free. Scones are free. I'll open the case for you. Just go ahead and do it. That's about how bad it is. It's about how bad it is. Honestly, I've never seen something more ridiculous and shameful for a CEO to make minimum wage employees go through this guilt session, this awful guilt session. You have to re-educate your employees and teach them about racism? Are you kidding me? What the hell? We're going to get to that. President Trump on Friday questioned why Samantha Bee has not been axed for using the C word. Not axed like I asked you a question. It's very popular these days. I asked you a question. No, axed like been fired for using the C word to describe his daughter Ivanka. Of course, she called her a feckless C word. Rhymes with punt. Now, the UK Daily Mail says he invited Ted Nugent, who once called Hillary Clinton the same vulgar term, to the White House in 2017. So was that at the height of the controversy? Did the president know that Ted Nugent... I didn't even know that Ted Nugent called Hillary Clinton that. I didn't even know that. Trump tweeted, why aren't they firing no-talent Samantha Bee? He always does that. That's so passive-aggressive. For the horrible language used on her low ratings show, there's another one. No talent, low ratings. And they are. She has terrible ratings. Total standard, total double standard, but that's okay. We are winning, and we will be doing so for a long time to come, exclamation point. B and TBS apologized. She said, I'd like to sincerely apologize to Ivanka Trump and to my viewers. No, your viewers are your fluffers, girlfriend. Her viewers loved it. They loved it. Oh, they loved it. Then they had the fluffers on either side of the stage, and they were, flashing the laughter sign and the applause sign when she called her a C word, and the rabble in the arena, in the Coliseum. They reveled in the vulgarity. I like to call her the vitriolic vulgarian. They reveled in it. They loved it. She didn't need to apologize to her fans. They loved it. They loved it. For using she says, for using an expletive on my show to describe her last night. She uses, this is the thing, guys. And listen, off the air, I curse like a sailor. It's bad news. Honestly, it's kind of painting sailors into a corner. Are sailors really that bad? Because I've worked with radio people. Pretty bad. It was inappropriate and inexcusable. I crossed the line and deeply regret it. So that's what she said. And where has she been? Roseanne Barr made a tweet that was, offensive towards Valerie Jarrett. And by the way, I heard Valerie Jarrett is Iranian, actually. I don't know I'm not sure. I mean, we all know the stereotypical racist, awful thing about black people and primates, and it's ridiculous and it's sickening. But I had heard Valerie Jarrett is Iranian. I don't, and I could be wrong. I could completely be wrong. But regardless, oh yeah, she was born in Shiraz, Iran. To parents, let's see here. She was born Shiraz Iran during the Pahlavi dynasty. To James E. Bowen and Barbara T. Bowen. Her father, a pathologist and a geneticist, ran for London children in Shiraz. Ran a hospital for children in Shiraz in 1956 as part of a program, blah, 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 blah. Her parents are African-American. Okay. He was born in Iran. She's African-American. So, yeah, what Roseanne tweeted was stupid. Disney had to save face because of big offense. Because her career would be, or the show would be destroyed, the network would be boycotted, and ABC Disney didn't need that. I get it. But TBS is a company that I've been working for a number of years. I went on press junkets with TBS. I know some people at TBS. I think they're nice people. But TBS, Turner Broadcast System is what it is, TBS. You've got TNT and TBS. And TNT is more drama stuff, and TBS is more comedy and stuff like that. Conan O'Brien is on there. I didn't know that. I didn't even know. Who knows? There was a show that I went on a press junket for on TBS called Are We There Yet? It had, and I hung out the weekend with Terry Crews and Ice Cube. That was pretty fun. But there's some Sullivan and Sons. I never watched that. Let me see. My Boys. It says still My Boys. It went on to 2010, I guess. Are We There Yet? Went to 2013. Let's look at the TBS schedule here real quick. Because the Samantha Bee show is vulgar and gross. Oh, TBS runs Big Bang Theory, which is a wonderful show. I love it. Let me see. Blades of Glory is running tomorrow. Married with Children. Friends. Cleveland Show. Bob's Burgers. Family Guy. Family Guy's kind of, it's offensive, but it's funny. And then in the middle of all of this, you've got Full Frontal with Samantha Bee. And Samantha Bee is a foul-mouthed tool. And if you watch her show, and I had mentioned this, the cadence of the show and the way she delivers her comedy is not, it's mockingly. All right, Bill Maher, he's a comedian. I don't like Bill Maher. I'm going to talk to about Bill Maher in a few minutes, about what he had to say about Donald Trump and Trump supporters, which I disagree with in just a moment. But Samantha Bee has gradually, when you're not called out for things because she, has no viewers, nobody notices her really. And so she becomes more vitriolic, she becomes meaner, she becomes more mocking and all of these things. And her comedy is just it became kind of grotesque after a while. If you could just watch her, if you watch the last episode of the podcast that I did, it was, there was a cadence to it that was just kind of gross. And then she ultimately used the C word. But the interesting thing is, one of the interesting things is that whereas Roseanne Barr and John Goodman and other cast members from the Roseanne show, people have been, paparazzi have been following them around, TMZ is following them around, asking questions. Do you think you should have been fired? Do you regret what you said? Why isn't Samantha Bee being pursued? It's as big a story. And it's going after the president's daughter. Why isn't TMZ, Entertainment Tonight, ABC, NBC, CBS, MSNBC? Why aren't people following Samantha Bee around? Do you regret what you said? Why did you say it? Do you feel that same way? Did you reach out to Ivanka and apologize? Do you think you should be fired? Roseanne Barr, do you think you should have been fired? Because she was fired summarily. It is remarkable. It is absolutely remarkable. I've got a column I'm going to share with you tomorrow. Talking about just I started using the coarsening the culture years ago. But, there is this effort, I think, to normalize profanity, normalize calling people Nazis, normalize calling people white supremacists, normalize this extraordinarily inflammatory and dangerous rhetoric. And I'm all about free speech. But don't you call me a Nazi because I support Donald Trump. I'll have to share this with you. This is from John Nolte, Breitbart. Media normalize C-word, the rooster holder comment, Joy Reid and her racist post, porn stars, where's Stormy Daniels these days? They discovered that Stormy Daniels wasn't as damaging as they thought they would be, or she would be, to Donald Trump. So she's gone. Where's Stormy Daniels? I mean, she was... Guys, think about this. Stormy Daniels was the story. Has she been on a single show? She was on SNL. She did a bit on SNL. That was like the pinnacle of what she could do with being noticed as a porn star. Well, with a daughter. She's a great mom. She has to drop off her daughter to daycare before she goes to the strip club. Literally. I mean, literally. That was the story of the day. And then when the media finds out that it's not gaining traction, it doesn't end the Trump administration, they move on. And when Roseanne Barr said that about Valerie Jarrett, everybody, every news media, everyone on the left side of the media wanted to pin it on Donald Trump and the atmosphere of racism that he has created in this country. And when that didn't take off, they moved on. Rush Limbaugh calls it the drive-by media, and he's right. They do that. This is the drive-by media, and they cast out and they try to reel in something that could take down this president. And 1 month, if it's not Stormy Daniels, then the next month it's going to be Roseanne Barr, who the president had nothing to do with, but the only pro-Trump character on television, both as far as programming, but also as far as news people. The only people who could be remotely considered just pro-Trump would be the conservative media, people like me, people like Levin, people like Limbaugh to some degree. They're not completely behind Donald Trump. Sometimes their support is a little tepid. Sean Hannity's a big fan of Donald Trump. So you've got those voices, Fox News at least. And yeah, sure, they're biased. Yeah, they are. They're biased. They support the president. They think he's doing a good job. Nobody else does. So the only pro-Trump character on television had to be destroyed. Now, she facilitated that destruction, unfortunately. She did. She facilitated that destruction, and and they gave it to her. Samantha Bee, who has made TBS, who did a family sitcom called Are We There Yet? And another show called My Boys that I went out and I did a press junket and I hung out with Jim Gaffigan. All of these things that were they were a little family-oriented and stuff, some edgy stuff. And then they put Samantha Bee on, who every other word is F this, F that, F this, and mocking and just not funny. In an audience that's filled with fluffers. I'm sure they had to sign some sort of waiver when they came in. They couldn't boo her. They couldn't disagree with her. They had to be all in for Samantha Bee and her political opinions. By the way, Samantha Bee picked up an award at the 11th Annual Television Academy honors for her show Thursday night. She said, every week I try to show the world as I see it, unfiltered. That's such a cliche. Sometimes I should probably have a filter. I accept that. I take it seriously when I get it right. And I do take responsibility when I get it wrong. You've never been called out for being wrong before, Samantha. Bee explained she tried to do it right in her segment on the atrocious treatment of migrant children by this administration and past administrations. No, it was about this administration. We spent the day wrestling with the repercussions of one bad word when we all should have spent the day incensed that as a nation we were wrenching children from their parents and treating people legally seeking asylum as criminals. If we are okay with that, then really who are we? Blah, 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 blah. Call Ivanka Trump a C word. Call Ivanka Trump a C word. I want to mention this real quick. Here we go. Far from cages. Now, about a week ago, 2 immigrant children were seen sleeping on the floor of a chain-link fence cage. Swept the internet, sparking anger from activists who blame President Trump for the conditions. Unfortunately, the picture was taken in 2014 when President Obama was the president. Illegal immigrant children set up, and now, by the way, this is how it is now, and this is how it is right now. Illegal immigrant children are being set up in comfy dormitories, being given coloring books with multicultural crayons, whatever the F that means, watching their favorite soccer teams from home on the extensive cable system, kicking the ball around themselves on a beautiful new soccer field, all paid for by taxpayers. Okay? This is pretty remarkable. I'm going to get into this here in just a second. Hey, listen to this. HHS has paid more than $1.4 billion last year to accommodate 41,000 UAC shelters. These are, these illegal immigrant kids. They stayed an average of 41 days, which means that taxpayers paid about, are you ready for this? Are you ready to hear how much taxpayers paid for illegals to stay in these youth hostels? $670 a day. I think that Kim Jong-un would like to stay here. I really think he would. Hell, I would. I've never stayed I don't think I've ever stayed in a hotel room that cost $671 a day. The cost of holding someone in federal prison, a comparison some immigrant activists make to the UAC situation, is $85 a day. Still, that's not a terrible hotel room. That's when you're on the interstate, you're tired, stop, it's $85, you go in. Washington Times submitted an open records request in 2014 for the documents about the Obama administration and the surge of unaccompanied children. They touted the provision of multicultural crayons, new sets of clothes for each migrant, gym equipment, and regular field trips to get away from the dorm, including movie nights, swimming, and bowling, which my kids, we can't afford that. On-site recreation may include soccer tournaments, movie night, playing games on the Wii, bingo and board games, basketball and volleyball tournaments, and Spanish language yoga. Is it important to be standard language? It's like, can't you see the person turning themselves into a pretzel in front of you? During the summer, children engage in water-based activities such as swimming, fishing, and playing in the sprinklers. All for just $670 a day, everybody. $670 a day. Wow. By the way, Samantha Bee, the annual Western Conservative Summit, has denied a request for press credentials for her. And I'm glad, because all she does is go there to mock. Largest conservative gathering outside of Washington, D.C., according to the Denver Post. Organizers cited remarks this week by her about the president's daughter. 2016, this is according to the organization that puts this together. Samantha Bee's production team came to the Western Conservative Summit. They did not provide fair coverage, said Jeff Hunt, director of the Centennial Institute at Colorado Christian University. Hunt sounds a lot like the word that Samantha Bee had for Ivanka Trump. Just saying. Instead, they bullied and harassed our attendees. Conservatives are tired of being mistreated by the liberal media. Shows like Full Frontal with Samantha Bee are not intent on reporting, but bullying and shaming conservatives. Her request for media credentials to the Western Conservative Summit has been denied, and hell yeah, screw you, Mr. Hunt said in a statement. Some speakers at this year's attendee include Jeff Sessions, Ainsley Earhart, Diamond and Silk, Mark Meadows, North Carolina Republican. Also NRA activist and columnist Dana Lash. Brent Bozell. Charles Hurt. Yeah. No more Samantha Bee. You're not here to be mocking us. And they're there to mock. They're there to mock. And listen, I would do the same thing if I went to a DNC event. I would be there. You know, I wouldn't call anybody a C word or anything, but I'd be there to mock them. I'd be there to ask them questions. I mean, we see these things on, the college fix. You go on campus. Who would you rather date? Would you rather date Donald Trump or a member of MS-13? Okay, and it's meant to be, to some degree, mocking and to some degree, political commentary. You know, and I don't mind that. And also, let's not forget humor, right? But I don't blame this organization for saying, no, Samantha Bee, honestly, after that thing you just did there with the C word and the president's daughter, I think we're going to say, nah. Roseanne Barr. I never watched Roseanne. I thought she was kind of funny. I just was never a really big fan. That's cool. Tom Arnold married her, kind of a marriage of convenience in 1993. Ended up getting a movie deal for True Lies, and that worked for him. He was a gold digging husband. I mean, come on, man. He was a gold digging husband, younger than her, etc. Sorry, it's just the way it is. Anyway, he went on to do True Lies and, a couple of other little movie things in The Man Show. And, he's kind of existed kind of over here because he's a marginal talent. Plurality of Trump voters think canceling Roseanne's show violated her right to free speech. Well, you don't have a right to free speech. If you work for somebody, you don't. That's the problem, guys. And I've told you this before. You do not have the right to free speech when you are employed by someone. You don't. You don't have the right to a lot of things. You don't have the right to do, drugs. You don't have the right to smoke pot. You don't have the right to, get a DUI. You don't have the right to whatever when you were part of an employee and I mentioned this about the NFL. You don't have the right to free speech as a football player. You cannot wear a shirt that says Black Lives Matter onto the field. You will be fired. You have to, and this is about free speech, right, kids? You've got to be told what shoes to wear, what jersey to wear, whatever to wear. You've got to be told what to say in press conferences. And if you stray from certain clauses in your contract, you will be fired. Roseanne Barr said something on Twitter that Disney couldn't abide by. ABC Disney could not abide by it. They could not abide by calling an African-American woman a cross between whatever and the Planet of the Apes. You can't do it. Sorry, there are things that I was, I've never been fired for saying something on the radio. I've always been fired for budget. It's so great. But I've never been fired for saying something that was over the top, offensive, grotesque, weird. I just don't go there because I know the limits, and it's not being tepid. I mean, I say some things that are pretty, edgy at times. But guys, Roseanne Barr was fired for a reason. There's a code of conduct that you have to have as an ABC Disney employee, and she crossed the line. Apparently, Samantha Bee, because of her political ideology and her leanings, ABC and Disney do not subscribe to this, or TBS, I'm sorry. TBS does not subscribe to the same code of ethics. And I think that sucks because I thought TBS was a really good company for a while. I really did. I thought they were great. Anyway, so yeah, the plurality says that she shouldn't have been fired. YouGov polled found 27% of Trump voters thought ABC was the right to cancel the show versus 65% who thought it was wrong to do so. 45% of Trump voters in total who see a free speech infringement here, whereas if you combine the share who thought ABC was right to cancel with the share who thought it was wrong but not a violation of her free speech, you get 36.6%. Whatever that means. You got a code of conduct. You got to watch it. Got a code of conduct. Oh, here's Bill Maher talking with Bernie Sanders about Trump voters. I think this was Friday night on the Bill Maher show. Bill Maher called out Donald Trump voters for not having, and Donald Trump for not having decorum of all things. And if you watch Bill Maher's show, it can be really pretty rude and foul at times. Here he is.
I understand he didn't win the popular vote, but he got a lot of votes, and so and his popularity rating keeps going up.
No video on this, by the way.
Not down.
Yeah.
It's almost in the range of like a normal president, which is really scary.
Back at
because
it.
he certainly is not that. So they obviously don't
He is not, and it's a great thing, by the way.
care about so many things they used to care about, like decorum or...
He's talking about decorum. The foul-mouthed Bill Maher is talking about decorum.
policy or democracy or freedom of the press.
Freedom of the press. Bill Maher, the press has abused the First Amendment with regard to conservatives for decades. Okay? So there is no freedom of the press in this country. And by the way, and the reason being is, it's not because of the administration. It's because of the press. The press has excluded those with conservative voices. They have demeaned them. They have raised a generation of journalists going through J school that are left of center. So there's no freedom of the press, and it's not because of any administration. It's because of the media complex subscribing to one ideology, which is left of center. That's where freedom of the press dies. Bill Maher, you douche.
So in this new arena, and he's
New arena. Dear God.
he is brilliant at controlling the debate and controlling airtime. What does a Democrat have to do to compete on this new
Well, the
stage? It is a
airtime-
new...
Okay, you don't have to compete because Democrats don't need to compete. They're going to get sweet coverage all the time. Hillary Clinton is a corruptocrat of the umpteenth degree. Private server. Just 30 years of corruption. Still around. What does a Democrat have to do? Democrats don't have to do a damn thing. For the first time ever, guys, for the first time ever, and I mentioned this when President Trump was being elected, he's the first Republican candidate to be able to get away with saying just about anything. Because people are tired, and we're tired, of one slip, destroying political careers. Destroying political careers. And Republicans finally said, you know what? His ideology is more important to him than the fact that he's kind of a schmuck. Democrats have been saying, I don't give a crap if he molested women in hotel rooms. He's a leftist. Let's get him in. I don't care if Barack Obama is, he started his political career in the living room of a known terrorist, Bill Ayers. I don't care. I don't care about that. I liked his leftist ideology. And now Republicans are saying, he's a schmuck, but you know what? He's pro-life. He's pro-business. He's deregulating. He's causing terrific things to happen in the economy that nobody ever dreamed were possible. And by the way, many people are predicting that we're going to have 4.8% economic growth of the GDP next month. We'll see, or next quarter. Friday's monthly unemployment report was great news for anybody looking for a job in America, except for Democrats. That poses a major challenge for Democrats in 435 House districts, 35 Senate races who are looking to unseat Republican majorities, which ain't going to happen. The economy added 223,000 new jobs in May, pushing the jobless rate to a 3.8%, 18-year low, which I believe 18 years ago Barack Obama wasn't the president. The overall unemployment rate has fallen to levels rarely seen in historical data. Last month, the official headline jobs rate fell to the lowest since the end of the 90s internet boom, which lasted a decade. The last time it was lower was in December 1969 at the tail end of nearly a 9-year boom that ended in 1970. The job rate may go lower still. Among blacks, whom Trump famously claimed had nothing to lose by voting for him, and they were right. The jobless rate fell to 5.9%, a full percentage point drop in the past 2 months. That puts jobless rate for blacks more than a full point lower than the last trough in April 2000 when it hit 7%. And George Bush was president. Here is Stuart Varney on Fox and Friends. I believe this was Saturday morning, talking about the amazing things that are happening in the economy and how the mainstream media is trying to ignore it at all costs.
That is not the story. Look at this. The story is 3.8% unemployment. Lowest in a generation. You've never seen that in this generation. 3.8%. 5.9%. That's the unemployment rate for black folks. That is.
And by the way, every one of these statistics that come out that point to we haven't had a low like this as far as the unemployment rate since 2000 or 1969, all of that Evel Knievel leaps over the Barack Obama administration and makes his legacy become nothing.
It's an all-time low. It's never been down at that level before. Same story for Hispanics. 223,000.
I thought he was a racist. I mentioned this before. Donald Trump's a racist. He's a white supremacist. He has Nazis in the White House. He's the worst racist ever. I mean, he is the worst racist ever.
New jobs created. You're on the road to prosperity.
No, not according to Nancy Pelosi. No, Nancy Pelosi said, look at this. May's jobs report shows that strong employment numbers mean little to the families hit with soaring new costs under the Republicans' watch. Remember, first she was talking about crumbs with the tax cut.
Yes.
Now she's saying these job numbers don't help anybody.
Is that insulting?
Well, I don't know about insulting, but it's a message of desperation, isn't it?
Yes.
The Democrats do not have a growth plan. They don't have
No.
one. So they have to criticize the president.
What do the Democrats have? Here's what they have. I'll say you, and again, it is Rooseveltian economics. It is investment in infrastructure, which hires people for work, not jobs. Okay, just work, build bridges and fill in potholes. They'd never do it, by the way. They'd never do it. Increasing the minimum wage, which hurts small business. Okay, from what they used to want $10.10. A couple of years ago it was $10.10. They were perfectly fine. Then they decided it had to be $15. You know why? And I'll say it again. You know why? You can't pay union dues when you only make $10.10 an hour. That's it. That's the reason. Get them up to $15, unionize grocery store employees, unionize Walmart employees, and send money to the Democrat Party. A little bit more from Stu Varney.
The plan, because it is working. And it is working. You know, the president came to office saying, I'm going to make America great again. And the keystone to that whole operation was deregulate and lower taxes. He did both. And now we're seeing the fruits of that.
What is she referring to there, though, in that comment when she says it is going up for some families?
You could make the argument that gasoline prices are up a little. That is true. You can make the argument that mortgage rates are up a little. That is accurate. She could make the argument that healthcare costs are rising, but that's not because of President Trump. That is because of Obamacare lingers on in our economy.
Okay, there you go. So, no members of the national media went after Barack Obama when his transportation secretary said, we need European-style gas prices, $9, $10 a gallon. He did. We went up into the fours when I lived in Washington, D.C. during the Trump administration, or the Obama administration. I would drive 25 miles each way to work, and it would cost me literally almost $20 a day to get to work. $20 a day to get to work. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. Nancy Pelosi is slamming Trump on slow wage growth, the president's reckless policies, wiping out the few meager gains, $1,000 is crumbs, by the way, according to her, that some families should have received from the GOP's tax scam as wages remain stagnant. Wages were stagnant for 8 years of the Obama administration. Here she goes again, Democrat playbook. Wall Street and wealthy corporations are refusing to raise workers' wages, even while they are on track to spend $1 trillion on dividends and stock buybacks, while simultaneously announcing tens of thousands of layoffs and shipping jobs overseas. However, there are many examples of companies raising wages above the 2% inflation rate. For example, Miles Fiberglass, Oregon City, Oregon, raising its wages as it expands from 50 to 85 employees. Why is that? Because under Obamacare, you couldn't have over 50 employees. If you had 49 employees, you didn't have to pay for Obamacare. If you gave them 29 hours instead of 30 hours, which Obamacare said was full-time, then the employer wouldn't have to pay for expensive health care. Miles Olin of that company says we increased our starting wage by 9%, which bumps everyone up the chart. Costco, retail giant Costco, is increasing its starting wage for its U.S. employees by $1, as much as $14.50 an hour, while other hourly wage rates will increase 20 to 50 cents an hour. 50% raise to $14 in general per hour is a post-inflation increase of 1.7%. Whatever. We have all been exposed to the changing of the algorithm by Facebook to impact conservative publishers, YouTube going after conservatives, Google going after conservatives, Facebook going after conservatives. We've seen it all. Trudy Wade is a Republican state senator from North Carolina, enthusiastic supporter of President Trump. If you Google Trudy Wade on Google, if you search for her on Google, you're going to get this. You're going to get this. Bigot. The latest example of Google not vetting the information that gets pulled into its knowledge panels, which are meant to give users quick information without them having to click through search results. Why doesn't this show up on the Democrats page? Why not? Because it's intentional. It's intentional. It's sickening, and it's intentional. Google's bigot picture has surfaced as Wade is in the midst of a tough re-election campaign against the marketing executive and Democrat Michael Garrett. The state's district maps were withdrawn for this election, blah, 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 blah. There you go. You Google it, you get this. Big surprise, right? Big surprise. Big surprise. Find the story. There's a, hold on. There's a candidate in Virginia running for Congress. Let me find this story here. And this guy is, let me just run the ad. Okay, well, I'll run the ad. This is the kind of, and again, you've got comedians who call Ivanka Trump the C word. You've got people saying there are Nazis in the White House. And now you've got a candidate in Virginia. Let me see if I can find this thing. Here it is. Who's saying that Donald Trump is essentially Osama bin Laden.
I'm Dan Helmer. I approve this message. I'm different. I'm not a politician. I'm a Rhodes Scholar who served in combat. I'm for a Medicare for all option.
Okay, this is not an option. This is socialized medicine. This guy is a tool. He's a punk ass little tool. He's a major leftist. So he's talking about Medicare for all option. No, it's meant to collapse the private healthcare system. We've heard this before. And put us all on socialized medicine. Dan Helmer. What a great soldier he must have been.
Against drug companies that rip off seniors. I'll fight the gun lobby to protect children, not guns.
Okay, this guy's a former military, completely anti-Second Amendment, obviously.
After 9/11, the greatest threat to our democracy lived in a cave. Today, he lives in the White House. No one, even the president, is above the law. Barbara Comstock has beaten every politician. I'm different.
Whatever. After 9/11, our most dangerous enemy lived in a cave. Now he lives in the White House. That is inflammatory, ridiculous, and I think dangerous. And it comes from an ignorant little punk ass who served in the military. God bless you. Thank you for your service. But this is bullcrap. This is bullcrap. You're looking at a man who masterminded 9/11, and you're comparing him to the president. That's absurd. That is the same as comparing your political opponent to Hitler, Mussolini, Stalin. How far are you going to take it? How far are you going to take it? It's about as far as it gets you, little douchebag. You're going to lose, dude. He's going to, look, what's his name again? This unbelievable douchebag. Here he is. Here he is again. Let's run the ad again. Because he's not going to win. This is not going to win. This is not going to win.
I'm Dan Helmer. I approve this message. I'm different. I'm not a politician. I'm a Rhodes Scholar who served in combat.
Yeah.
I'm for a Medicare for all option.
He's a leftist. He's a leftist who supports socialized medicine.
Against drug companies that rip off seniors. I'll fight the gun lobby to protect children, not guns.
He's not going to win. He's not going to win. This is what you got. This is what you got. Socialized medicine, taking advantage of children being murdered. Okay, take on the gun lobby. The gun lobby was not responsible for the school shootings we've seen lately.
After 9/11, the greatest threat to our democracy lived in a cave. Today, he lives in the White House.
No, he doesn't. Just the greatest threat to our democracy. Could you imagine if somebody had a PAC ran an ad about Barack Obama, comparing him to Osama bin Laden? Did you see that from the other side? Did you see that from conservatives? I didn't see it. Am I blind? I don't think so. Starbucks employees bristling after being forced to sit through an entire day of training on racial bias on Tuesday, following the incident in Philadelphia where a manager called the police on a pair of black men who were sitting there without purchasing anything. They shut down the stores, 8,000 stores, for a day of Color Brave training, which included several documentary videos, notebooks for employees to record their private thoughts, and a 68-page employee guidebook, which teaches employees about topics such as institutional racism and the history of prejudice. These are minimum wage effing employees making coffee. You want to talk about abusive employees? You want to talk about this is abuse of employees. This is groupthink. This goes beyond serving a gosh damned cup of friggin' coffee. A mocha latte, cappuccino, espresso, carmelado. What the hell it is? You've got ignorant kids who are working at Starbucks. None of them have had a racist thought in their lives, but they're supposed to host, own this Starbucks, supposed to run this Starbucks, and you got a couple guys loitering in the place. Probably shouldn't have called the cops. Probably should have just went over and said, hey, listen, if you're not going to drink coffee, you got to leave the premises. That's what she should have done, but she's probably a damn kid. 68 employee guidebook, which teaches employees about topics such as institutional racism and the history of prejudice. This is what they're teaching at college, and now they're making employees who make minimum wage absorb this crap. And they're working at Starbucks because they can't afford college. The whole thing made many employees, especially African Americans, highly uncomfortable. Quote, I don't think Starbucks realized how uncomfortable it'd be for people of color to have to watch these videos and talk about this. This, according to biracial shift supervisor Jamie Prater, who I think makes $7.55 an hour. He got bumped up 20 cents. But sometimes we need to be uncomfortable. Cordell Lewis, manager of the Ferguson, Missouri Starbucks, that had to be fun, was among the employees who said the training seemed to make some African Americans uncomfortable. He said he could see employee shoulders tighten as they lean forward in their chairs because they're like, dude, I'm here to work like you. I don't have I don't think you're here because you're racist. You hate me. Wow. Starbucks rolled back a key provision in their new inclusiveness policy, which would allow vagrants to use the coffee chain as a homeless shelter. On occasion, the circumstances of a customer's disruptive behavior may make it necessary to prohibit that customer from returning to our stores. And while the inclusiveness training taught employees about institutional racism and not to discriminate against the homeless, others predictably felt Starbucks wasn't inclusive enough. Cordell Lewis, the manager, who is biracial, said the emphasis on relations between black and white people left some employees feeling excluded. Yeah. Something he raised with the company leaders. He says, I have trans partners and Philippine partners, and they were like, what about me? Yet other employees were turned off by the entire thing. I'm here to make some frickin' coffee. I don't need to sit through your brainwashing bullcrap. One black barista in Connecticut told the Journal, it's time to save face, it doesn't mean anything. Another barista from Ohio, who was white, said he found the training wishy-washy. I went to it with an open mind. I was hoping we'd go through scenarios of how customers might feel in certain scenarios and how to make them not feel that way. How about this? What kind of coffee would you like? Okay. I'll get that for you. What's your name? Your name is Greg? Okay. I'm going to spell it Greggge on the cup. It'll be down there on the other end. There you go. Can you believe this crap? To serve an effing cup of coffee? Kid serving a cup of coffee has to go through racial bias training? Are you out of your effing mind? Guy we've been talking about, this Prater fella, said that the baristas are already doing 5 or 10 things, including taking out the garbage, cleaning the bathrooms. We're already struggling to provide the bare minimum of customer service, so you throw this on us, and how do we even do this? This is a lot. This is white guilt supreme. This is self-flagellation for some sort of perceived guilt that happened before you were born. Starbucks training day material included employees how they could become color brave and asked how they would deal with scenarios like being confused by a customer's gender or thick accent. I'm so effing done with Starbucks. Screw Starbucks. I'm done with Starbucks. I'm done with Starbucks. I am absolutely effing done with Starbucks. There's one up here at the grocery store. I'm not effing going to Starbucks anymore. You idiots. Just idiots. Honestly, off the deep end. Off the deep end. These poor kids. These poor dumb kids working at Starbucks. Coming up, we got the dumb video of the day. An FBI agent dancing at a club accidentally shot somebody for when he did a backflip. Another reason why California sucks in the meantime. And again, right up here. This is my swag line. Here is the website right down here. Okay? teepublic.com/conservatees. 75 designs, and they're really cool. If you would order, it would be greatly appreciated. Also, download my podcast. It's on iTunes and SoundCloud, among other places. Rob Carson Show. Just Google Rob Carson Show. Governor Moonbeam, of course, we call him, said there's going to be there's going to be some water restrictions in California very soon. 2022. The new indoor water standard will be 55 gallons per person per day. By 2030, it will fall to 50 gallons. Okay. Here is a story from CBS 13. I just have the audio of this. Here is the story from CBS 13 about new water restrictions. By the way, the reason why they're doing this is because there was a drought, there isn't a drought, but they want to prepare for a future drought.
There will soon be more focus on flushes and scrutiny over showers. California is now the first state in the nation to enact tough new water efficiency standards. The controversial rules limit how many gallons a person can use inside their home per day,
so that everyone in California is at least integrating efficiency into our preparation.
This is remarkable because the earth is covered, 3/4 of the earth is covered by water. California is right on the Pacific Ocean, which is a gigantic reservoir of water. I mean, it's unimaginably huge. It's gigantic. And they're going to restrict your usage of water like this, even though it's plentiful. And even though you're paying for it, you're paying for this product. And yet if you want to use as much as you want, you will pay the price for it. But now they're saying 55 gallons for anyone in the house. Now, will this apply to the governor's mansion in Sacramento? Probably not.
For climate change.
So what are the new rules? In 2022, the new indoor water standard will be 55 gallons per day per person. And by 2030, it will fall to 50 gallons.
I get it. I understand that we're trying to preserve, but 55 gallons a day with a child and just every day having to wash clothes.
Wait till you hear the statistics on how much water it takes to do things around the house. Even if you have, by the way, we have one of those what is it? The smart washers and dryers that use less water.
That's just, in my opinion, not feasible.
HE is what they call them, HE.
My family's way too large.
She likes to bathe 3 times a day, and she likes to do laundry all day.
Just how many gallons of water do household chores take? An 8-minute shower uses about 7.
What about watering your effing lawn?
Gallons of water, a load of laundry up to 40, and a bathtub can hold 80 to 100 gallons of water.
I don't take baths anymore.
Now, retrofitting homes with water-efficient fixtures could help cut back.
The average new home or new unit is 35 gallons per person per day.
The new laws would also require water districts to perform stress tests of their water supply and curb loss due to leaks.
Right now, we lose up to 30% of urban water just to leaks in the system.
Agencies say fixing those and educating residents is key.
We offer toilet rebates. We offer
a toilet rebate! Yay!
We offer complimentary shower heads. We offer complimentary...
Nothing like a little complimentary shower head.
Faucet aerators.
What?
I say that out loud.
Water districts who don't comply face fines up to $10,000 a day. The ultimate goal is to make conservation a way of life in California.
Another reason to move from California. Thank you. I'm going to wrap things up with this story about this FBI agent being a moron. We'll save the other stories for tomorrow. FBI agent allegedly dropped his gun at a bar, and another patron was shot in the leg early Saturday. This is, do you really want to conceal carry when you've been drinking? I mean, it's probably not a good idea. It's just not a good idea. I don't know if we have any audio on this, but here's the FBI agent drunk, acting like an idiot. This is in Denver. Mile High Spirits Distillery and Tasting Bar. Leave the gun in the car. Here he is. He's dancing. He's drunk. He thinks he's all that, right? He's, oh yeah. And now he does this. Gun falls out. Picks up the gun. Bang! Shoots the guy in the leg. Puts it back where it was. And casually walks out. Nothing to see here. Meanwhile, there's somebody in the bar who has a hole in his leg. Unbelievable. It appears an off-duty Federal Bureau of Investigations agent was dancing at the nightclub with his firearm, became dislodged from the waistband, fell on the floor. When he retrieved the gun, unintended discharge occurred. Another patron struck by the bullet. The woman who recorded the video, who wanted to be only identified as Julie, said she smelled gunpowder and saw a person bleeding. Everyone was kind of shocked after it. Was this Peter Strzok? Could have been a Peter Strzok. Peter Strzok, the guy who was exchanging emails with his concubine in the FBI about Donald Trump. I wonder if Peter Strzok is out having a good time. Just kind of getting away from everything. Guys, I want to thank you for joining me tonight. Make sure, tpublic.com/conservatives, teepublic.com/conservatives. Also, if you would, please download my podcast. You can look for it on iTunes at Rob Carson Show, among other places. In the meantime, have a glorious week. God bless you. And we'll see you again very soon.
Thanks for listening to The Rob Carson Show. Friend him on Facebook at Carson Show, on Twitter at Rob Carson, and on Instagram, I think Facebook and Twitter are enough for now. We'll see you soon.